Our team coverage now starts in Broward right now with CBS News Miami's Trish Christakis. And Trish, how's it looking on Hallandale Beach? It routinely floods there.
Well, right now, the good news is I'm not knee deep in water. It is pretty dry off the street, and behind me, this was a overflooded canal right now. It's really just thick mud with a bunch of garbage. It doesn't look really great, and there's that post-rain mosquito drip that's going on in this area. But last night, you guys, it looked completely different. Take a look at this video. A car was completely submerged in the canal after, sadly, a woman driving mistook this deep body of water for a street. Now, the woman who was driving was able to climb out of an open window. She and her husband watched as drivers hooked onto the car and towed that truck away. Now, that truck, as you can see, will be hoisted in the air. Its feet just dangling. The car is a complete loss, but the woman inside of it and those who watched are grateful that she ended up being okay.
She was pretty much just really strong. I mean, I can't even imagine that. That's got to be a very scary ordeal. But she looked very composed, and she was safe. And that's all that really matters, that she got out of the car really quickly, and she was safe.
Now, her GPS told her to turn right, and right now you can see there are fences on the side and there's caution tape. A neighbor actually told us last night that the fence was propped up, but because of the rain and there was barricades, it all kind of got pushed away. So unfortunately, it's kind of easy to see how she could accidentally walk into this because there's not much preventing her from doing so because those rainwaters completely flooded this area. Now, of course, this area is just kind of a little flooded right now with mud, etc., but hopefully this caution tape will prevent anyone from doing that, as right now it is, of course, dried up from last night. Now, you guys, the city of Hallandale Beach is putting extra pumps as necessary, and they are having cleanup crews on the way, so hopefully it won't be looking like this much longer, you guys.
Now, let's take things north now to Miami, an area hit hard by flooding. CBS News Miami's Joe Gorcho joins us live there. You know, Joe, we were talking to you for hours yesterday, and it was flooding every place that you went to. How does it look now?
Well, we're here in North Miami, one of the hardest hit neighborhoods on the corner of Northeast 11th Avenue and Northeast 145th Street. You can see the water still flows behind me into front yards, parking lots, and still remaining on the roads. In fact, I just saw someone who was on a scooter, looked like he was going to work, and I asked him, how high is the water still remaining in parts of the road that he was just scooting by? And he told me, he pointed to his boot. Up to here is what he said. The water still remains in some spots a little farther down the road. Let me step out of the way so you can get a sense of what I'm looking at right now. You can see the water just glistening under the streetlights here. Water is draining in some spots, we can tell, but there's still standing water above my shin in other areas, and as I mentioned, up to the boot in other parts as well. So really still high waters here. The rising waters really gutting some residents we met here in North Miami. The water's flooding their homes, and many within this 5-block radius now face a harsh reality.
Too much water. I need to go in my house. I can go to my house.
Like so many people in North Miami, Ghislaine is stunned and devastated. The considerable flooding was a first for her in the 2 decades living here.
Sometimes they have water, but never like that.
Well, it's a lot. This is the worst that I've seen since I've been living in North Miami.
In daylight Wednesday, we see homes in North Miami surrounded by water after more than 20 inches of rain fell on the city.
It was rain all day long, you know, and heavy rain. I never see like that flooding here.
Other parts of Miami-Dade were also underwater. On Northeast 29th Place by Aventura Boulevard, cars abandoned, stranded.
Woo, how you doing? Hi. Okay.
And I know the city of Aventura has worked hard to get those stranded cars off the road. And back here in this North Miami neighborhood, as you can tell, there's still a lot of water here on the roads here. So if you're in this particular neighborhood, especially in this stretch, use caution when you're driving by. Don't be in a rush because, again, there could be other spots that are even deeper than where I'm standing right now. Keith, Betty?
We're not seeing as many cars lined along that roadway as we were yesterday. Is that because of tow trucks, or they just got a little lucky?
Well, probably a little combination of the two, but I would say also because of tow trucks. We saw in our drive yesterday, because remember, we were on air for hours and hours, and throughout our drive in Northeast Miami-Dade, we saw tow trucks hard at work, picking up cars and removing them. So that's part of the effort by many of the tow truck companies, I would say, in Northeast Miami-Dade, whether it's in Aventura, here in North Miami, or other parts, to get those cars that were stranded and abandoned on the side of the roads and get them to safer spots. Because when I was driving in this morning, I'll tell you, I maybe saw 1 or 2 cars that appear stranded still, but other than that, the roads seem relatively clear from those abandoned vehicles because of the rising waters.
Great news. Yeah, they're cleaning that up quickly. Thank you, Joe.
All right, let's take you to Aventura now and give you a look at what was going on there. This is folks there forced to walk through the water. It wasn't easy to get around there. This is the scene northeast at 201st Terrace and Biscayne Boulevard. That's where the Biscayne Lake Gardens apartment building was just absolutely inundated. Joining us live now this morning from the city of Aventura, Communications Director Evan Ross. Evan, good of you to be with us. Thank you, sir. What does it look like? How's Aventura do as a whole?
Well, the city's really happy with the way our stormwater infrastructure handled all of the water that it took on. Obviously, this was an unprecedented rainstorm. We took on as much rain in about 48 hours as we would typically take on in an entire summer. And our major arteries cleared quickly: Biscayne Boulevard, Country Club Drive. And as of last night, every road in Aventura is passable. There's still some flooding on some roads, but not so much that cars can't get through unless somebody's driving a car that sits very low to the ground. They should be fine to get around Aventura this morning. We do still have private property that is underwater, but all of our roads are passable.
Great to know that the roads are passable. I know a lot of folks, especially on this Father's Day weekend, need to get out and about and get those dads some gifts. The mall is a big economic boom for you guys. What's it looking like there? Any damage?
So the mall has a bunch of different areas. I don't know as of this morning if all of them are fully clear, but I know they were pumping water out yesterday. So I'm sure I'll be heading over there shortly, driving by.
All right. I know a lot of folks are trying to head there this weekend, myself included. So hopefully everything is all well there. Evan Ross, Communications Director for Aventura, thanks for joining us this morning. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
City of Fort Lauderdale also dealt with major flooding. Drone video shows what it looks like from up above. You see many neighborhoods surrounded by water. And this morning we're joined by Mayor Dean Trantalis. Mayor, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So, Mayor, the city has been seeing flooding in the past, but this year, while still bad, not as bad. So what made the difference?
Well, first of all, we had a lot less rain. Last April of 2023, we had 26 inches in 5 hours. Here we had about 12 to 14 inches over a period of days. Nonetheless, there are areas that are still prone to flooding. We're working on major infrastructure efforts. Our Fort Lauderdale is designed to build these stormwater systems in neighborhoods that never had them to begin with. So we're working aggressively on that. But to respond to this last storm, we had a whole army of pump trucks, vacuum trucks in those affected areas, especially in the southern part of our city, trying to drain those streets so people can get into their homes.
So pretty much the city was prepared after last year's massive storm.
Oh, yeah. We were prepared. We had third-party vendors waiting for the call, and we had over 24 trucks out there throughout the city. So while nothing's perfect, we do have some conversations to be had with the county, because a lot of the rain came from the airport spilling over into those neighborhoods, and there's not enough drainage that separates them. So going forward, we're going to have to consider how we're going to be able to improve upon that so that these neighbors they had been this year and last year. But of course, everyone's talking about our Stanley Cup, right? So think about brighter things today and hopefully a win this weekend.
We have to be ready for that win and that huge parade. So we got to get ready for that. We got to clear out the streets, that's for sure. So, Mayor, we heard this morning there is a flooding, unfortunately, at the Parker Playhouse, and an event this weekend has been canceled. Do you know the extent of how bad it got?
No, I did hear about that, and I do understand there was some flooding, but it's a pretty resilient facility. We did a complete redo of that facility a few years back, but I don't think it's going to be long lasting. It's just some water damage. I'm sure we'll recover very quickly.
Let's hope so. And Mayor, I love what you said about the Panthers. So we got to hurry up and clear those streets and get ready for the parade.
Exactly. So we're looking forward to it. I understand the local folks are in the planning stages right now.
Yeah.
Very excited about that.